What are your opinions of the deal that was struck in Brussels late last night?
Well, I think that this is something that needs to be pursued a little bit further and made official. So we are now, what we know are certain fragments of things that were unofficially commented on and so on. But I think if at the end the deal is to have a common resolution fund to help in the resolution of banks, I think this is good news. I think that there is a need to mutualize risks to a certain extent in order to support the single resolution mechanism. So I think that this is a step in the right direction.
So you think that it's absolutely crucial that there is a mutualization of the responsibilities?
Yes,
there?
I think that you need not only a single supervisor, but a single resolution mechanism and a single fund that is common and that would be used to help in those instances where resolution needs to be made.
Very good. Here in Frankfurt, the ECB cut interest rates to a record low of 0.25% in November. Do you think they still have room to cut rates further or have some other options?
Well, I think that the ECB, and they have said this themselves, has instruments available to maintain the support that is needed or even to increase it further. And it's true that in the euro area we are seeing that economic conditions, although improving, are still quite subdued, and that inflation is quite far from the objective of the ECB. So I think that yes, the ECB has all the means at its disposal to continue providing further monetary accommodation.
So if we look more specifically at certain measures, for example, negative deposit rates has been talked about a lot. It's a largely untested measure. Right. What is your opinion on that?
I think that even if it's true that there are not many experiences with negative deposit rates, I think that if it were to be implemented, it would give a very clear signal of the commitment of the ECB to do whatever it takes to get inflation closer to where it should be, and I think it would have a very positive impact.
How about quantitative easing? That is something that has been done by the other largest major central banks in the world, including Bank of England, the Fed, Bank of Japan. Do you think the ECB should follow these banks also in that respect?
Well, I think that if I had to make my order of the things that could be appropriate to discuss, ahead of that I would put the possibility of another long-term refinancing operation, but this time with some conditionality regarding the use of funds for provision of credit.
Turning to the US, the economy there has been giving some encouraging signs. Do you think it's the right time for the Fed to start tapering?
Well, I think that the Fed should start tapering only when they are convinced that the economic recovery is on a sufficiently strong and sustainable basis. This is something that hasn't happened yet, but as new data are coming in, these data are more positive. Also, I think it's positive what happened yesterday in terms of the agreement in Capitol Hill regarding the fiscal plan. So all of these things are adding up in the positive direction. Now, whether tapering is something which should start before the end of the year or sometime in the first part of 2014 is something that the Fed will need to decide depending on their own evaluation of a number of economic indicators. But things look considerably more promising now than it was the case a few months ago when the Fed decided not to taper after it was widely expected that they would taper in September.